if you as a coach, no matter what level you're on, if you can just make it possible for somebody to like feel like it is okay to talk to somebody, to share what's going on, you help us all. As a society, you help us all.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I am your host and coach, Tyler Johnson. And whether you've tuned in to elevate your mindset, your game, or just your day, you are in the right place. My guest this episode is the Associate Athletics Director for Sports Psychology at Ole Miss, where he is aiming to create a model for how sports psychology should look. He's a licensed psychologist, a licensed social worker, and a certified mental performance consultant, a lifelong athlete who's done some amazing feats. Please welcome to the Elev8 podcast, Dr. Marlon Bailey.
Doing quite well. How about yourself? Thanks for having me.
Excellent. It's great to have you. I'd love to start out by enlightening myself and our listeners with just a little bit about what kind of had led you into the work that you do now, and maybe tell us a little bit about the models you're trying to create for student athletes in your work.
Yeah. I think I was headed in a different direction. I was getting a PhD because I really wanted to teach college. And then, I met with a sports psychologist, and they really kind of encouraged me to just go for it. And so I kind of had both opportunities in front of me, and I thought, maybe someday I could go back and teach college, but if I don't become a sports psychologist right now, I don't think that's on the table later. And so I decided to go for it. And now I actually do both. I teach a class and I'm a sports psychologist. So I could not be happier when it comes to like landing where I felt like I should be.
Excellent. And what kind of led you into the niche of the sports with all the psychology things? And did you play sports growing up, athlete? What was kind of some of the
I
things that led you
did.
there?
I did. I think I played sports. I love sports. I've always loved sports, from a bit of a sports family, if you will. But I also just loved and got really acquainted with mental health, excuse me, and with helping people.
Yeah.
And this really became kind of a best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And yeah, couldn't have asked for anything more.
Love it. Well, in your role and your experience with working kind of with student athletes, what are some of the things that uh, maybe stayed the same, and then the things that are maybe showing a little bit more as things that arise in the lives of student athletes?
Oh wow. I mean, I think how we think about or what we're expecting from student athletes is definitely changing. I mean, there are things that stay the same, be it like, hey, like, we expect you to go to class and we expect you to like, be a person, and a person is going to have like any set of stressors, right? Like, so that's the thing. Like there, like that, there is stress,
Yeah.
absolutely consistent, right? Like that's not changing. But where that stress comes from, and what that stress means, and how that stress is different, that I think that is how it changes, right? And so um, how you how you manage the money that comes in, and what that means for um, how you manage your family and the expectations that your family or friends or whoever puts on you. I think
Yeah.
that's something that's really different. Um, how you manage your relationships. And by that, I mean, well, I think there's two sides of it, right? So there's one side of it is like a coach might sell you on, hey, you're gonna come here, you're gonna have this great relationship with me, I'm really gonna take care of you, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And then an athlete might get there and find out that, they've been sold a wolf ticket. I don't know why I said that. That sounds like something that an old person says. And I don't think I've actually ever used the word wolf ticket before. Um, but they may sell you something that is different than your experience.
Yeah.
And now you have a decision to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that can be hard on coaches because, they have an incentive to like, hey, what's the point of jumping in here and like really trying to engage with somebody if they're going to hurt my feelings and leave.
Yeah.
And students are like, hey, like I wanted to play for you and you have treated me like I don't matter here. And
Mhm.
so it makes sense to like try my luck somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so but like on both sides of that, like, both people could potentially feel wronged and both people could potentially feel like, there's something else for that person or there's a better opportunity for each other there. And
Yeah.
so I think, but that's something that wasn't there before, right? So it used to be there wasn't a way to personally hold the coach accountable to what they
Right.
said they were going to do, right?
Sure.
So it
Sure.
used to be that if you got here and that coach didn't do what he said he's going to do, you were just stuck. You just had to like chill
Yeah.
out or like eat a year or, all these kind of other things. And now, there's a way of saying like, hey, you said like this was going to be my experience. You didn't come through. I can go to somebody else who can give me a better experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, on the other side of that, um, there are coaches who, it's like, hey, maybe you're just not a good fit. And now I don't have to like bring you along, even though like we can't use you because you don't fit in this system, that kind of thing. Like, I can say to you and I can be honest, like, hey, you're not gonna play.
Yeah.
And you should go somewhere where like you might have a better opportunity because you don't fit here.
Yeah.
And so I just, I guess I'm trying to be fair to both sides here, but that is just something that is different and new and has not been a part of our game. And like, it's a
Definitely.
recent part of the sports world when it comes to college athletics.
Definitely, it's definitely evolved quickly to kind of, I think, uh, in ways put a premium on quality relationships. And I think when you're building a team, how do you unite people and for the cliche cause greater than ourselves that our coaches talk about with our teams. And one of the things I saw when I kind of did a little reading on you, one of the things that stuck out, it was the word care.
Mhm.
And I wanted you to expand more on a little bit of how can athletes tell when their coaches really do care, and what are some ways that maybe coaches out there can put some intention um, behind, putting, care at the forefront of the relationships with their players.
Wow. I mean, I think it's a great question, and I'm probably not going to give you a great answer, but I'm going to do my best. But I feel like let me step back from a coaching relationship for a second and just consider like care for an athlete in general, right? And how determining the authenticity of that care is such a challenge, right? There's this human thing where people really want to be associated with fame. They really want to be associated with attention. They really want to, right? And so athletes are a way of, like doing that. And so
Mhm.
it may not be that you like generally want to be friends with somebody. It may be that you benefit from being close to them. And so athletes are always having to do this assessment of like, hey, is this person genuine? Is this person like really somebody in my life that like actually cares about me? Or do they want something? Do they
Yeah.
like that like I have the money to buy things and like, I'm a generous person and if they're around, they get, the benefit of just who I am. Or, like that I'm just a kind person. And when they're, or it's like if I didn't have all this, if I wasn't famous,
Mm,
if
mm,
I didn't have all this, would this person still be around? And assessing that is such a difficult like piece. And so I tell that or I say that to say it is not just how do I assess if a coach cares about me.
yeah.
It is how do I assess if anyone does,
Sure.
right? Because like it might be a cousin but that cousin doesn't care about you. That cousin's, playing the long game because eventually they want to open a kava and you're going to be their ticket to, I don't know why I said that. I don't know why I threw kava.
I had it there just the other day. It's good.
Kava's delicious. And like, I mean, if you want to drop me a couple dollars for that, advertisement, Tyler will tell you where to find me. Anyway, point is, but like family, like there's just a lot of people who, and it may not be mutually exclusive, right? It may be that they don't care about you. It may be not that they don't care about you. It's just that like, oh, you can also do this thing.
Yeah.
But then if you can't do that thing, right? Because families often think athletes are making more than they are, and they don't care about the taxes, and they don't know, about the future, that kind of stuff. So that stuff's really, really difficult to know. Like even if a person cares about you, like where do you draw these lines?
Yeah.
Okay, now let me see if I can enter back into the how do coaches
How
show
can
that
they
they,
create some intention around,
yeah. So
creating caring cultures?
yeah, so I think one of the most obvious places to me is how a coach thinks about and handles injuries.
Mm,
Because, whether it's temporary or elongated, that is one of the times where a person is just like not useful to you on the field, pitch, court, whatever. And because of that, so many times an athlete's experience is, yeah, when I was hurt, it was radio silence. No one
mm.
called me, no one checked on me, no one, and except for like their athletic trainers or whatever, whose job it is to get them back. But like they don't hear anything from a coach
Mm.
because that coach is so like focused, right? And like, that's their job is like we like I have to win games. If I don't win games, I lose my job. My kids can't eat. Probably not that serious. Coaches are getting paid enough to where I think they can
Yeah.
probably manage. Um, but ultimately, like their job is to do that. And so when an athlete is injured, like they can't help them with that at the time.
Yeah.
But what that feels to somebody like if I'm an injured athlete and like, I was, everywhere with you 3 weeks ago
Yeah.
and I haven't heard from you in 3 weeks, one way or the other, like, did you care? Or are you everyone else
Yeah.
who, when it came down to, I had to like draw a boundary, right? I couldn't play because I was hurt. Um, or, I couldn't do whatever because of whatever. When I had to draw a boundary, you left. And
Yeah.
that feels like you don't care.
Yeah.
And so I think how coaches like, and this is just an example, right? It could be a lot of things,
For
but
sure.
how they implement systems to say like we don't abandon people,
Yeah.
like whatever it is, however that is, right? We don't abandon like even if it's just like, hey, we thought you were going to be really good and you're not as good as we thought you were going to be, and we're not necessarily going to use you, like, and then an athlete feels abandoned, right? So there's a
Yeah.
lot of, but it's like how you build systems to make sure that someone's not, you didn't move them to, this place where they don't know anybody and they don't, and then all of a sudden they're on their own, not playing, not doing a thing that they thought they came to do because of whatever, right? It may not, like I said, like earlier, it may not even be that you're not good. It might just be like the system that like worked for you there is not
Yeah.
the system that works for you here. And no matter what it is, it's like, hey, as a coach, how do you create something to make sure people who you brought here don't feel like you've abandoned them?
Yeah.
Like you brought them here and you left them here to do nothing but watch their career die.
Yeah. Listening to you, especially with the injuries and it being the football season, I always think it's interesting when a player goes down on Saturday. There's some coaches that just kind of stand and hover, and then there's the ones that get down and
Mm-hmm.
let the player feel that they're there and let them know. And I was just curious about how those relationships are. And so that's just an observation that might have no judgment worth anything. But I always think it's interesting when some coaches, you really see them get, to the player, and some just kind of hover and talk to the trainer.
Yeah.
And
I think in that moment, I don't judge it one way or another because ultimately that moment
it's
is going to
quick.
pass very quickly.
Yeah.
and that person is, if it's really bad, they're going to surgery in the next whatever. But like, and I think like anybody could be like, oh yeah, how was your surgery? That kind of stuff. It is a week and a half later. Like that's when that actually matters. So like if didn't go out there on the field, which that coach doesn't know what to do. I mean,
Sometimes I don't. They're
like,
so preoccupied. There's a lot
like,
going on,
like,
but
sir, you were in the way. Like,
yeah,
like if you didn't go in there on the field, I make no judgments about that. I think it's later. I think it's later that it matters, and that's the one where I'm like, hey,
yeah,
this is when you need to show up, or at least make sure that there's somebody who's showing up in that moment.
yeah. Um, you bring up a lot of good things and just how many dynamics have evolved quickly for especially for college student athletes. And I think we see those things that are pro in college and those behaviors kind of trickle down into usually our high school environments. And uh, I find, the youth environment in sports is a lot more transient sometimes. And sometimes those high school coaches are in this unique place where, yeah, unless you can transfer to a different high school, yeah, you're kind of some of those things you mentioned before, like you're kind of
Oh,
stuck
okay.
here,
Yeah.
right? And it's, I feel like that high school age, it can be for those high school coaches, the youth, they're used to being transient. Now they feel stuck in a high school thing that's maybe not going as they expected. Or, at
So I
college
would
now we've got flexibility. What would you say to high school coaches that are kind of in that different mode where we can't really change the flowers we've got, but we can change the environment for those kids. What can they do?
so before I just like jump super far off, like off the yeah, I just don't want to. I want to move past saying that high school coaches traditionally have done an excellent job of building young men and women in
Yeah,
this country,
yeah,
of showing them like relationships, of showing them how to be appropriate, of showing them how to be respectful, of demanding like accountability, like let me not move past it without just really like showing a lot of gratitude for what our high school coaches in a number of sports do. Now, are they all great? No, not gonna like let's not go that far. But I think traditionally there are so many people who have a relationship with their coach, like and I mean adults who have a relationship
right.
with their coach that to this day was like a seminal relationship in how they learned to be a kind, caring, hardworking person.
Yeah,
And so like let me just like lay that out there before I say the next piece, which is and like there's always ways to like keep getting better and
for
like
sure.
doing this better and,
Yeah,
and learning from people who have done it really well. And I think even doing more to like maintain kind of the principles of accountability that have sometimes been lost but are necessary. I'll be honest with you, the thing I'm thinking about is like I don't know if I should say this, but like the thing I'm thinking about is, man, we all know people from our high school that were just really, really great at sports,
yeah,
and they got passed through, even though they could not demonstrate really basic uh, educational skills
yeah,
that they really needed to be able to demonstrate,
yeah.
um, and that does a disservice to everyone.
Most definitely. Yeah.
And I think coaches have been a part of that. I'm not saying that they are strong arming any
Yeah.
teacher,
No,
but I
no,
think they've been a part of that.
yeah.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say, yeah, I think they play a part. And I think in some of my experiences where I've seen that behavior, the sometimes the parent is really pressuring the school or coach to,
Yeah,
not hold them to the standard. Um,
absolutely. And
and
I think
so there's, yeah, a lot of different, yeah.
yeah. So and I think coaches hold the line. I also think they hold it on behavior, right? So like when someone blows up, when someone cusses out a ref, when someone cusses out a teammate, when someone cusses out somebody else, like there are coaches who are like, hey, like you're being held accountable, and if that means you have to be dismissed, or you have to sit out for a while or whatever, like that needs to happen. And then there are other ones who know, like, the best player on their team never gets held accountable. And again, it doesn't do a great service to anyone, like
Yeah.
our society in general. Like,
Yeah.
like what good is it? And I'm not about to call names, so
No, no.
but like, what is it if you make it to college or you make it to the pros and then you make a mistake that if someone had held you accountable for your behavior um, before you got on that platform,
Yeah.
like your life and whoever you mistreated, their life would be so much better if someone was like, hey, no one's that good.
Yeah.
No one is so good that the law is just going to be like,
Eh.
I mean, I say that's actually kind of not true, but like it shouldn't be, right? Like
Right. Right.
it should be true that no one is so good that the law is just going to overlook because
Yeah.
you play a sport really well.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a hard thing. 'Cause like you said, kids also get that other side of the conditioning of, I'm great on the field, you'll let me slide in the classroom. Or I think my experience was, yeah, coaches let me slide on behaviors. I was good in the classroom, but they let some things go that I think, the different standard that you see is, again, and yeah, my thoughts years later didn't do me much service, right?
Let me rein in one more thing for this.
Please.
You're learning that I'm long-winded, but I think the other thing that if we're talking about high school coaches, also college coaches, also pro coaches, whatever, like the more you can normalize and just have at least a neutral reaction to mental health and the fact that conditions exist, and like just because you don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not real and not a thing or whatever. Like the more that you can make it okay for somebody to say, like, my experience is different and I need to like share it with somebody who might understand it a little bit better.
Yeah.
The more you allow someone to have that, to accept that truth, man, the better we all are.
Big time.
Just honestly, like it's wild because I'll meet people, in my work now as a college mental health professional for like athletes, and I'll meet athletes who are like, I'll literally ask them like, when is the last time you remember being happy? And they'll be like, I was 7. And like, don't get me wrong, like I'm not saying it's necessarily someone's fault one way or another, but like a lot of times that story is, oh, like I couldn't have asked for that. Or like I didn't know that it had existed. Or like all of these things that say like someone missed the ball on saying, hey, there is somebody who will understand this.
Yeah.
And it's also wild to me that like I'll ask him and they'll be like, nobody, like people either just thought it was me or nobody recognized that I just like wasn't happy.
Yeah.
Or like if there's a period of time where it gets really intense, they'll say something like, oh well, like I would cry in my room every night, but they just kind of like were like, hey, are you okay? And I didn't say anything, and so they didn't push it. They didn't take me to see anybody, anything like that. They just kind of like were like, he'll get over it eventually.
Yeah.
And the thing
Nice.
is, sometimes it's abuse. Sometimes it's, like a mental health condition. Sometimes it's, I broke up with my partner. Like, but like all of this, like, man, if it was normalized of like, hey, like, why don't you talk to somebody? Man, we could intervene on all of that. And I mean, especially abuse. Because that's the thing. It's like if if someone's hurting you, like literally someone's hurting you, but they don't feel like they're allowed to say anything. Man, we just let that go. And then somebody that's hurting just is allowed to do that because whoever it is thinks that like mental health doesn't exist, or that like you can't really have, like, why don't you just be happier? Like,
Yeah.
oh, you just gotta like wake up and get out there. And it's just not that simple. Like honestly, the way depression works, and this is the thing that people I think don't understand, but the way that depression works is your wake up and get out there. Like you just gotta wake up and you just gotta get out of bed and go. Like your get out of bed and go is broken. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't work the way other people's get out of go is. And for somebody whose get out of go is, great and operating and all this, like I love that for you. But if you try to convince somebody that like all they got to do is like get up and go,
Yeah.
and their get up and go is broken, like, what you're telling them is like there's something wrong with you and it's you, which is
Yeah.
wild because that's also what depression is telling them.
Yeah.
Because the way depression works is it says like, oh, like all these things that are wrong, they're you, even though it is depression.
Yep.
And so it's just anyway, all that to say, let me rein this in. All that to say, if you as a coach, no matter what level you're on, if you can just make it possible for somebody to like feel like it is okay to talk to somebody, to share what's going on, you help us all. As a society, you help us all.
Well brought together, and I could listen to you expand on these tangents all day. I enjoy hearing your experiences and
Because
observations.
it may
Um,
be inevitable.
what one of the things I was going to ask you, and kind of the experiences you variable experience we kind of talked about that are going through with student athletes and things maybe past and current. Um, if you could wave a magic wand and student athletes were empowered with three amazing skills to help them navigate all those challenges, what are some of the skills that you'd wish every athlete could help and harness and have in their toolkit,
Mm.
no matter how small or big?
Yeah, I think the first one is confidence. And I'm going to say unfounded confidence, and I'll tell you why I
Okay.
am saying that.
Okay.
But I think it is confidence, and my explanation on that is I think as an athlete, um, part of your part of why you perform well is you believe that you can perform well. And the problem is there's so much of life that attempts to convince you that you can't and you don't.
Mm.
And some of that is fans. Like people say the most like crazy stuff like to people, to athletes, like just wild things.
Yeah.
And it used to be like, oh, of course they were going to razz you at a game or things like that. But now the things that they'll say and the information that they will,
They
like
can
they'll pull up
track.
your
Yeah.
mom's name, they'll pull up your partner's name, and like start
They'll,
using those things. And like it's a wild experience. But also things that your coaches will say to you, things that your parents will say to you, things that teachers, all these kind of. And so to be able to like hold and defend your confidence, right? And I say that like let's take for example, I know I bring this up a lot, but let's take for example, like if you don't if your style of play doesn't fit with your coach,
Mhm.
if you don't have a coach that understands that and has some like you know patience or whatever with that, they might just tell you like you're bad,
Mm.
like you're not good.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you don't have confidence, you'll let that eat away how good you are and like how good you would be in a system that works for you.
Right. Right.
And so, and then, like if I think it's also bigger than your sport, right? And so like you're also going to need confidence that you're the only thing, like you're more than an athlete, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I say that because other students will be convinced that you're not smart and that you only got there because you play a sport. And if you don't have confidence, you'll let them keep you from asking questions.
Hmm.
You'll let them keep you from like doing work on your own and feeling like you can't do it without chat gpt or without cheating off somebody or something like that. And so like ultimately, like if you just had like if you just had this unfounded confidence, like I just believe that it would be super helpful. I think the last example I'll give is socially,
Mm.
right? Like everybody thinks that athletes have it made because everybody knows them and everybody's talking to them and things like that, and it is not like that. Like
For sure.
often those same like feelings of anxiety that keep you from talking to a person you like keeps them from talking to people they like, or keeps them from making friends in general,
Mm.
right? Whether it be like just like you know social anxiety, or just like, hey, like I really can't trust anybody. Like it doesn't make sense for me to trust anybody, right? And so like having that courage to be able to like, hey, like everyone is not like that, right?
Yeah.
And so like to like start those relationships and have them. And sometimes it's even like starting them with people on your team, right? Like that can be hard too. Like there's a lot of like younger students, younger athletes who will come in, and older athletes who, one may not treat them great, but two might have their own stuff, and that's why they don't talk to younger athletes. And it just feels like, oh, they don't like me and they don't think I belong here. And I'll like you just make all this stuff in your head, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so just having this confidence that not only like are you good at your sport, and like you've been doing this a long time, and that's why you're good and that's why you do things, but also that like you're a cool enough person, and like sure, you're gonna go places and sometimes people aren't gonna like you, but like have the confidence to keep being you and keep being out there, and the confidence to say no when it doesn't fit for you,
Yeah.
and not think that like, oh well, like if I lose this, then like I'll never get it back, or I won't be able to make any relationships, or like sometimes if you're in a bad relationship, right? Like it's well, or especially like if that partner has told you like you're not gonna find anybody else, and that right, like have this confidence of like, hey, like no one knows, but that person certainly doesn't know, and they have their own motives for saying that like no one else would be with me, and that's just not true. So this confidence that like you are likable. I promise the next ones won't be this long. Secondly, gosh, okay, skills that I would give athletes besides confidence. Hmm, this is hard. I spent all my cognitive energy on confidence, apparently.
I really like the way you broke that down though, because I think there's layers to that.
I oh yeah, I think, and this is probably going to be like kind of silly, but um, I think that sometimes I think this happens to everybody, right? So maybe I would give everybody the skill,
All right.
uh, but the literal like baseline necessities, right? So that is eat enough, drink enough, sleep
Yeah.
enough,
Yeah.
get a hug, like the literal baseline necessities, like do those things. And if something is in the way of you doing those things, don't convince yourself like, oh, I don't need it, because it's like people will be like, well, I can't get 5 hours of sleep but I'm fine. I mean, I can't get 8 hours of sleep but I'm fine on 5 and 4, like I don't need it. I'm
Yeah.
one of those people who doesn't go to bed like
Yeah.
like I think that's my, yeah, like the baseline things, get those things.
Yeah. For
Like
sure.
don't phone it in because it's hard.
Yeah.
And like literally when I come to sleep, like literally don't phone it in. Don't spend all night on your phone. Like put the phone down and like go to sleep. Like you have like so many people are like, oh, well, I'm not sleeping. And my first like one of my first questions is like, what are you doing before bed? And it's like, well, I'm on TikTok, and the next thing I look up and it's 2 a.m. It's like
Yeah.
I think I might be able to help you. You know, like
Yeah. Okay.
um but yeah, so I think that is number two, is just like the baseline things. Like I wish we all took those seriously. Like do those
For
things and do
sure.
those really well. And then three, I keep thinking of things that I'm like, that's too close to confidence. um, okay,
It's a magic wand, so we don't have a lot of rules. So
yeah, that's fair. Um, it is a magic wand. I could wave it. Uh, if it was a magic wand and I could wave it, I would say have an eye on the future,
mm,
no matter what that future is. And so I think one of the beautiful things about NIL is it used to be that athletes would put their bodies on the line and they would leave with nothing,
mhm.
like just nothing. Somebody
Yeah.
else, like some like
Coaches were
older,
doing good. Coaches were,
probably white guy up at the top of the NCAA, like would leave with a lot,
yeah, yeah,
and now they have to share that. And the thing about getting a piece of that is you have something to take with you, whether your career like ends at the end of college or it doesn't, right? And I like let me not sell this like every student athlete is getting paid. Like I know that that is not the case,
right.
and there probably needs to be some work done around equity, even though I get that like there are arguments made around like, hey, like football makes the money, that's where it should go. Also, if we want to recruit well, we need to like be able to pay well, that kind of stuff. All that aside, um, it used to be that like you left with nothing, and now you leave with something. And I really hope that people are future minded. And I think sometimes like when you're getting money, it feels like you're always going to be getting money. And I just hope that there's this like eye on the future of like this may be the most that you are paid your entire life. And so if you don't do something with that, like, and you don't steward that well,
Yeah,
like that's not like it's going to be a cool story when you're in a situation when that money could really be helpful.
yeah,
And so I guess that's the skill. It's literally stewardship. It's
yeah,
like, hey, will you like everything that you're getting now, and maybe for the rest of your life, would you steward it well, and would you steward it with the future in mind, and not just yours, but like generations in
yeah.
mind of like how you are going to, handle your life, your family, all these kind of things.
Definitely. I like that. I think, yeah, even if you're not getting NIL, you can steward in your relationships, your experiences, those things that I think, as athletes, you have different leverage
Absolutely.
in certain places. So, one last question as we wrap up. If I took away your magic wand and gave you a time machine and sent you back to visit teenage self, um,
Mm,
with your
teenage me.
yeah, you're going to visit teenage Marlon. With your experience and what you do now, what would be something that you'd want to share and remind yourself?
Man, first of all, teenage Marlon was like 125 pounds. So I'd probably push him over. Tell him get in the weight room. No, just kidding. So okay. Honestly, honestly, I would tell myself never regret doing the right thing, and don't worry about how much time things take me.
Mm,
Um, I think that I thought my life was going to be I thought I was going to move very like early, right? Like I thought I was gonna do all the life things, you know, in my early whatevers. And that is not how it worked. And the time that my life has taken to get me where I am now, where gosh, I love so many things. But the things that I got to do on the way here, the things that I got to do on the way to getting here, I would not I would not give up.
Yeah.
Like this is gonna sound like just like this like weird brag, but it kind of answers the question, I guess. So one, like undergrad, you know, and then getting a master's in social work, and then working at a jail, and then while I was there doing the running of the bulls, and being in France for Bastille Day, and then um, doing Texas 4000, which is a bike ride from Austin,
Yeah.
Texas to Anchorage, Alaska to raise money for cancer. And then donating my liver, and then doing an Ironman. And then, like, there's so much that happened along the way. And then, obviously, like getting married and like starting that, like, there's just so much that happened along the way that I was watching other people and I was watching their lives, and part of me was like, man, like I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be, you know, old by the time I get to where, like they're moving at the pace I thought I was gonna move at, and it's just like nah, like that wasn't for me.
Yeah.
What was for me was like this pace, and it is
Yeah.
working exactly how it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And so the anxiety of like, oh, I'm not doing things the way other people are doing it, like let that go. Don't even worry about it. Like the thing that is in front of you, the thing that you're like, hey, if you do this, it's gonna set some other stuff back. Do it anyway.
Yeah.